Well, yes, if you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that? This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle, I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it! Are you alright? I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Okay. Let's look at the evidence. The carbonated water the victim and Miss Brett shared on the day of the murder. It was on the victim's table. There's some left, but it has lost all its fizz. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. It must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that, you don't know. Okay, he doesn't know. It probably just says water. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. I mean, when they were drinking, was he dead already? They drank before the steak came, probably. That's how restaurants work, right? It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder... Could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Okay, thanks for the hint, game. So I will present the bottle right here, I guess?
Yes!
What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? But even so, where did the gunshot come from? Order, order! And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Jezal Brad, it was you. Also, I mean, she drank from the water herself as well, right? And maybe the poison was in the glass itself, not in the bottle?
Objection!
This is outrageous to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one's crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may, I will silence you forever for this disgrace. Oh. It is you who should be silent. Oh, of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And? What did you find, Inspector? I order tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the Chief Coroner himself. No! No! But did you test the glass? I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, Counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brad. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further evidence to present the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Oh! Please, wait! Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba? The Professor's daughter? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. (1:14 p.m.) Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense, but why the sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha! A judicial assistant and a woman, no less. Wow. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yeah, Asian countries are very patriarchal. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency! I am most grateful. New evidence? What could that be? Who exactly are you? She's the daughter of the professor! I'm sorry, there's no time. Please simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. Then why are you bringing it to me? I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? I've never heard that word before. Me neither. What the heck is this and how do you pronounce that? Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. But you don't even know if it's valuable or not. This is wonderful, thank you. What? A report detailing an unknown poison that Miss Brett has been researching during a... Oh, it's a poison? Well, that may be relevant after all. Goodbye then, and good luck. You have had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke, we are out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency? If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid... it's not so very long until tea time. I have to politely Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question, however. I must ask you to treat that as an order. Yeah, show some backbone. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. Nothing to apologize for, Judge. So, Counsel? What is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? Well, of course, it's this thing that we just got, right? Let me examine this first. The poison made from the bark of a certain trees. In the jungles of South America, the hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Affects instant paralysis, subsequent death even in minute doses. The above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. A wound, but... oh, the gunshot wound? That makes no sense. I thought it was to be ingested. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. Enters the body through a wound. The gunshot wound? But I thought he died before that already. Makes kinda no sense.
Yes!
Mrs. Albrecht, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at UMA University doing research. Research by sheer coincidence, perhaps? Into a deadly poison? What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? A toxin known as a curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What complete and utter nonsense! Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it! You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist? Correct. Which means, no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order, order! Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery? These aspersions are utter trumpery. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of the so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they are in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible! Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous! To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. Silence. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison?
Objection!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. If I may? All these facts? You think we are so clever, but you must start on them. Whoa. It is you who must be taught. Of course. Dear lady. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime, that really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this! I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. Ha ha ha! What's so funny? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency? Yes, Miss Brett? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not? She better not. Oh, she's drinking it herself. Of course she is. The poison is administered through a wound and not through a liquid. Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Sorry. To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics. It's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers! Wait, what are you doing? She's the expert of the poison. Of course she knows the poison is to be administered through a wound, not through food or drink. No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Goodness, whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no curare? The bottle was clean, is that what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy. But of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Ah, yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Ryunosuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water contains no poison. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why, Ryunosuke? Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. I'm going crazy. Sometimes your unadulterated naivety really astounds me. But sometimes it's in need of a good staining, until it's as dark as your uniform in the ways of the world. Oh, is that what this color is supposed to represent? That was a godless ending to a promising line of Inquiry Council for which you will be penalized. This whole trial is poisoned. Wait. Okay, maybe there was poison in that bottle? But the poison is administered through a wound, so she could have splashed water onto the gunshot wound? But that makes no sense. I mean, the poisoning has to come before the gunshot wound anyway, right? Yeah, we established the professor, Dr. Wilson, was already dead before he was shot. So which wound are we talking about? Like the burn wound on his hand? The culprit did put curare poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. This also sounds crazy. You're serious?
Objection!
Fool, are you blind? There is no possible way that the bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume the supposedly poisoned water unscathed? Well, of course, her research. The above-mentioned effects occur only when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart.
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
That's not a valid explanation. No. After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone. Honest, I'm just reading Sato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? Well, synopsis, special characteristics. Yeah, special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this Kurara poison. And it's left me curious about something. Oh, counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they are hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please. But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, counsel, no, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Kurara enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Kurara's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little rapscallion! What? Wait, is her head a real swan? What was that? Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you are an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? Was that a compliment or an insult? I don't know. A lawyer?
Objection!
All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book. but I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brains has managed to deduce, Kurara is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric suckers. Oh yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers, what are they? So if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? That's right. Why is he sweating? Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no? Order. Order in court. The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest? Yes, this Kurara poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. What is this welling up inside me? Is it love? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey. Holy crap.
Objection!
Whoa, I don't think so, Mr. Zalbret. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well that there is no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling evidence. As we now know that the poison is completely harmless when ingested, why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the Kurare? Oh, I need to present evidence? What am I gonna present here? I mean, he has a gunshot wound, guess? Could have entered through there? Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed? She took the glass with her. There has to be a reason, right? Not sure what the game wants from me, to be honest. I mean, the difference is Dr. Wilson has a wound. Is that a difference? And Mr. Zalbret does not have a wound. Fatal hemorrhage from bacterial ballistic trauma. What? This is completely useless because this is completely wrong, the post-mortem report.
Take that!
Oh, that wasn't it? I'm sorry, Counsel, but the slipshod manner in which you've tossed that evidence before the court does not inspire confidence. Huh? Listen, Ryunosuke, there's no need to overthink this. We know that Kurara's toxic effects only come into play when the poison enters the body via a wound. Right, so that can only mean that when Dr. Wilson drank his glass of water, he must have had a wound somewhere that let the poison in. Exactly. So we need some evidence that would prove the professor had a wound inside his mouth. Whoa! Inside! Oh my god! I got it now! Holy... He was at the dentist! Of course! Right, he had a wound inside his mouth. Ah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Oh my god, completely forgot about that.
Take that!
As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So, for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. But we still don't have any proof there's poison in that bottle, right? We need to have like some sort of test. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are all so puerile, whatever that means. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy, you'll find out soon enough. What is she doing? You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No. I mean, it could just slip. Oh. Oh dear. How careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. No!